Yo, what's going on, Dragon Ballers? We are finally here with the set 14 ban list. I know a lot of you guys, as well as myself, have been anticipating this ban list like crazy. I can't believe it's finally here, to be honest. I know a lot of us were really skeptical on whether or not it would be a great ban list, a poor ban list, a kind of mediocre ban list. And I do have a lot of really mixed thoughts on this ban list. I did read it before we were doing the video here today, guys, so I did kind of have some time to put some thoughts together, but it's only about 45 minutes since the ban list has been posted at the time of recording, so my thoughts are still pretty fresh. I do want to share them with you guys. I've actually got a tally list here where I have a win column, so that's going to get a tally when I think that they did a good job with a ban limit or errata. I have a lose column where I think they did poorly with a ban limit or errata, and I've also got like a meh column where I'm just like a little bit indifferent, not sure if it was a positive or a negative, and tallies will go there when that happens. And by the end of this video, we'll see where I really line up with this ban list. Again, a lot of mixed emotions. Some things I think they did well. Some things I think they really missed the mark. We'll kind of, wait and see. If you guys are new here, of course, be sure to subscribe. Anyways, we'll get right into it. So I do have the visual up here just so you guys can get a quick little preamble. We've got 4 bans, 4 limits, and a few erratas. So for the bans, we've got Beerus Godly Majesty, Pan Great Ape Whisperer, Reboot Gohan, Thank You God, Unite Assemble, not in love with that one. We've got Heartfelt Plea Limited, as well as Bardock Resolute, Bergamo Ferocious Roar, and Drum Reign of Terror. And then for erratas, we'll get into the specific details of each errata eventually, but we have Celzino, Catastrophic Blow, Majin Quickening, the Vegex leader on both sides, the Dark Broly leader only on the Awakened side. We got the Black Smoke Dragon Unison that was built for Makikabura, and we have the Videl leader coming out in set 14. That's just a clarification. Errata really does not matter at all. But anyways, we're going to go through and read Bandai's reasoning because, again, there are many things here that I just don't necessarily agree with. Some things I do agree with. Let's just get down to reading it. So, Dragon Ball Super Card Game. We have the ban list for set 14. The following we posted on our official website on Friday. Greeting Dragon Ball Super Card Game fans. We hope you've all been enjoying the Dragon Ball Super Card Game. The Unison Warrior series has provided some of the most exciting times in Dragon Ball Super Card Game history, and we're overjoyed by the player response and excitement for our game. 100% true. I mean, with the crazy card market bubble stuff that's been going on, plus Unison Warrior block has just been a good block for the game for sure. Obviously some highs and lows, but overall I would say very solid. Starting in the upcoming set, Cross Spirits, the series will expand into the Unison Warrior series Boost, inviting players to explore Unison cards and markers in brand new ways. To kick off this series, we also want to boost our players' enjoyment and appreciation of our game, which brings us to the philosophy behind this ban limit errata list. While designing Supreme Rivalry and Cross Spirits, we carefully observed our competitive landscape and tournament results together with feedback from our official Facebook page, community pages, and product questionnaires. We consistently observe that players prefer the strategic balance of charging energy throughout a game and determining how much energy to commit on each turn for both offense and defense. So this gets into a really interesting philosophy, which we haven't really been seeing a lot in the game. A lot of decks can tap out proactively and rely on free or incredibly cheap defense, right? If you guys have been playing since the set 8, set 9 days, you'll remember when you had to keep up 2 energy for a Vegeta the Cruel, a Denial of Hope. Nowadays with Unisons and the free counterplays, that's not really the case anymore. You're going to tap out on 2 for your Unison, and you're going to back that up with your Godsling Technique Trunks, your Vegeta Powerful Transformation, your charismatic Villain Frieza. So you're not necessarily worried so much about how much energy you have on defense. Even in red, you'll tap 2 for your Piccolo Unison, and then maybe on your turn 3 you'll keep 1 up for Violent Rays. Let's just say the defense is very cheap, and I do kind of like that because back then during the Surge Goku days, I did kind of enjoy that format. If it went on a bit longer than it did, it would have got pretty stale probably. But the thing with that format is you really did have to heavily contemplate whether you wanted to tap your energy offensively just to get blown out by a Denial of Hope or a Vegeta Exploding Weakness. But the flip side and the negative side to that was you were almost always going to get punished for tapping any offensive energy, and that does feel kind of bad, to be honest. So I don't necessarily 110% agree with this, although I do kind of agree with it, if that makes sense. I do like the fact that decks can make proactive plays now and still rely on some sort of defense where you don't just lose to every single attacker coming at you. But at the same time, yeah, there's a little bit too much free going on. And I think it's more so the free offensive stuff that's the problem. I don't really think that free defensive stuff is the problem. And I should just mention here that, again, I think the format is absolutely fine that we're in. I've said this in many videos. I don't totally want to repeat myself here, but I think they just want to rein back on some of the more quote-unquote OP stuff so that power creep doesn't have to be as crazy going into future sets. Do they accomplish that here? Well, let's keep reading. So Considering the relationship between card costs and skills, we found it important to adapt our game design to the following rules. Ensure that both players will have a sufficient chance to participate in the game and make meaningful decisions. This definitely has to do with like how fast aggro decks can kill, which they've done a decent bit here to like kind of rein that in. Restrict the development of oppressive battle cards with no energy cost. Yeah, that's another thing they're going to want to do. Did they really hit the mark here? Again, we'll kind of see. With our players in mind, we decided to address several cards that conflict these values and best align with our vision of an even more enjoyable version of the Dragon Ball Super card game. These changes will allow for an even more diverse meta environment with a competitive role for both old and new decks. Again, we'll see if that... I'm not even going to be able to predict that in this video, but, you know, we'll see how the meta trends in terms of if this was true or not. We take these decisions very seriously and believe that making wide-ranging adjustments now will allow us to continue with modest or minor adjustments in the future to better suit the overall enjoyment of the Dragon Ball Super card game. So it does not seem like they want to do a large ban list each and every time, which is somewhat understandable. But anyways, let's get into the cards they ban and why. So banned cards, Beerus Godly Majesty. Reason: this card can easily create offensive pressure without energy and mitigates the cost of other skills, therefore we decided to ban this card. Okay, I agree with this reasoning. It's a free battle card to play and be aggressive with, and it mitigates the costs of other card skills, like anything that says discard and do something. Beerus makes that free, essentially, and even more aggressive. But this is the weird thing. Beerus Godly Majesty is a free play battle card that relies on another card to actually work, which doesn't really work in all decks. But if you look at other free play battle cards, you've got... I'll talk about the ones that haven't been touched on this list. You've got Mercenary Tau, the red one. You just play it for free when you have 3 battle cards in play, as long as your leader's red. You've got Belmod Double Devastation, which granted does require 3 battle cards to sacrifice, but any spammy aggro deck can do that pretty much no problem, and you get a ginormous 20k body that pops a guy for free. So that's pretty insane. Those are just free play battle cards that don't exactly rely on much else. So hitting Beerus and not addressing any of those other cards is honestly just a really weird decision. Like, there are just so many free play battle cards which in vacuums and on their own seem fine. Like, if you think about Mercenary Tau in like maybe a peel-off deck, if it was intended to be in a peel-off deck, or like Belmod in a successor deck, they genuinely seem fine on their own. But those are 2 cards that you can play in the same deck alongside like Beerus Godly Majesty. Like those are 3 free play cards you could have played in the same deck, and now Beerus is gone, but there are just more free play cards that are probably honestly more problematic than Beerus. So this one is just a kind of a meh for me. So I'm gonna put a tally in the meh column for this one. Pangraded Whisperer. This card limits design of yellow battle cards by enabling excessively powerful interactions with Omega Shenron. This is the Triple Striker TP promo to create an oppressive play pattern. Therefore, we decided to ban this card. I think this one's absolutely fine. The fact that it's not like leader locked or anything like that, like the fact you could play it in Sin Aggro. Oh, and Sin Aggro is 110% dead from this list, by the way. So, I mean, the deck will still be, you know, able to do some aggressive things early, like a 1-drop 30k and a 1-drop 30k Triple Striker. But, yeah, the Cell Xeno Pan Wombo combo, 110% dead, which I will take as a win, because that deck being able to end the game on a potential 1 energy for your opponent, absolutely stupid. So this one's going to be a win. So we have 1 win and 1 mess so far. Father, Son, Kamehameha, Goku, and Gohan. This leader card has demonstrated the ability to consistently win both best of 1 and best of 3 games in 2 turns. Therefore, we decided to ban the card. 110% a win. I've been calling for this leader to be banned. This thing just needed to go. Not much to say there. Universe 9 Assemble. Reason: this card in conjunction with the Mecha Frieza leader has led to an incredibly powerful early game advantage. Banning this card will significantly reduce oppressive play patterns for this leader card. Therefore, we decided to ban this card. This one's going down as a loss for me. I've talked about it in many videos. Mecha Frieza is the problem here. Yes, it is true that banning Unite Assemble is going to limit the power of Mecha Frieza. That's just obvious because it's the best extra card you can play in that deck. But you still got Final Spirit Cannon, which is a really bad extra card that becomes incredibly busted with Mecha Frieza. You are heavily limiting the draw of Mecha Frieza, but you're still super heavily limiting the design space of future extra cards. So this one just doesn't really make sense for me, besides the fact that they just didn't want to ban the leader so soon. Like, I can totally see Mecha Frieza getting banned down the line, or they're just going to have to print really crappy yellow extra cards, which either one can happen. But I mean, them printing bad yellow extra cards can only happen for so long, realistically. Then we have Goku Heartfelt Plea. Now we're getting into the limited cards. So, reason: the card limits design space of red battle cards and skills that increase power. When used in conjunction with cards like Dark Broly, Unbridled Destruction, this card can be played easier than originally intended. In order to mitigate this, we decided to limit this card. I think the limit here is pretty much fine. Heartfelt Plea is obviously a very powerful free play red card, but I really don't understand why they made Umbrella Destruction red. Like, they could have made it blue, for instance. Like, were they thinking about the Heartfelt Plea interaction? It kind of doesn't seem like they were. But I guess, like, it doesn't make sense. But this directly contradicts with the United Symbol ban, where they want to limit a card that limits design space, but Mecha Frieza does the same thing, yet they wanted to ban United Symbol, which is a very mediocre card outside of the Mecha Frieza deck. It's not a bad card by any means, but it's very, very mediocre outside of Mecha Frieza. Mecha Frieza is what makes it kind of insane. So that is just a little bit weird. So, all right, moving on to the next limit, we have Barth Resolute. Reason: when used in conjunction with cards like Piccolo Jr. Eradicator of Peace, this card leads to oppressive early game patterns in red aggro decks. In order to mitigate this, we decided to limit this card. This is really funny. I want to shout out my teammate Marcel, because he only plays one Barth Resolute in red decks because it's an off-color card. It's got 0 combo power. You can only play one like while it's on the board, yet it has unique. So this is pretty funny. I'm gonna put this one in the meh category, because I do think limiting it to 1 is obviously going to reduce the consistency of the card and how decks can spam it. But this might have just been better as a ban, to be honest, because it's pretty oppressive aggressively, where you get really punished really heavily for even trying to negate this. So I'm gonna put this one as a meh. I'm okay with the limit, but probably been better as a ban, to be honest. Bergamo Ferocious Roar. So reason: while intended for board control in yellow decks, which is kind of weird because it controls energy, not really their board, using this card in conjunction with cards like Power of a Super Saiyan can lead to oppressive, uninteractive gameplay patterns. In order to mitigate this, we decided to limit this card. This one, I'm gonna probably put it down as a win, even though I kind of want to put it down as a meh, because I've been going back and forth with this one in my head for a while, whether or not Bergamo is deserving of a hit or not. Because being able to tap your opponent's energy with such ease, and paying 2 to tap 2 is pretty easy, especially now with Power of a Super Saiyan being a card where you get even more free ways to tap things. I do think Bergamo is a card worth hitting. Even if Mecha Frieza were to be banned, this card might have been a little bit too insane in upcoming yellow decks like SS4 Goku in set 14, or even maybe Gohan Icarus. So this is probably a fine one. Honestly, I do even kind of like that I still get to play with 1. So it's like when you see it, it's still going to be a power play. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm okay with this one. Then we have Drum Reign of Terror. Reason: this card allows King Piccolo to have significantly more board control and defensive capabilities than anticipated. In order to mitigate this, we decided to limit this card. I'm going to go with this one as a loss. I don't really like it for a couple reasons. One, King Piccolo needs X amount of Demon Clans to be a consistent deck. So I don't really love hitting the consistency of decks, because if someone chooses to play it and, you know, can't really get their game plan going, it's going to be a pretty big feels bad. The other thing here too is, like, I don't really think it's Drum that's necessarily the most problematic card in the deck, and I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think if you're going to be King Piccolo, and if you're going to be able to play a gajillion battle cards for free throughout the course of the game, I think your draw power is what should be significantly hit. If you're going to put battle cards out there for little to no investment, I think your hand should suffer as a result of that. So that's why I was kind of pushing for the piano ban, just so that King Piccolo could still kind of do its thing. And a barrier blocker is not too insane, to be honest, but when you can spam it for free and it also minuses things, it gets a little bit over the top, yes. But once again, I think if you were to hit King Piccolo's draw power, it'd be a lot more manageable. Notice here too, there's no ban or limit to Piccolo New Ruler, which I do find actually very, very interesting. I definitely thought that would be one that would be hit. But yeah, I don't really agree with this hit to King Piccolo. It almost seems like it kills the deck, and it quite possibly will, but with Piano and the Piccolo Unison, that's still a lot of draw power. So I'm not 110% sure, and I'm also positive they're probably going to print some sort of King Piccolo support in the future. So this deck might just be kind of like on the bench until that happens. Now we're getting into the erratas. This is where things get a bit more interesting. So we have a Catastrophic Blow errata. Yes, you know, for me this is going to be an automatic win. But anyways, what they did here is they added a limit 1. So you can only use 1 Catastrophic Blow per turn. That is going to go down in the win column for me. This strategy is just super lame. Their reasoning is, you know, it leads to uninteractive and repeatable gameplay experiences. So they decided to add the limit keyword. 110% a win. This is great. Yeah, nothing else to really say there. Then we have the next one, Cell Xeno Unspeakable Abomination. So they're errataing it to say that it only, it's basically only a threat when you have 5 energy. You can still play it for free, essentially whenever you want. Like if you have the successor on board, turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, whatever, you can still play it. But now, Quadruple Strike is not one of its main keyword skills. It only gains Quadruple Strike and Dual Attack just like before when you have 5 or more energy. So this one's going to go down as another win for me, because this just, you know, stops a lot of that other degenerate nonsense. And their reasoning was they wanted to bring it in line with power with other ultimate cards, and I think that's a really, really solid reasoning. So this one, definitely like it. Next up, we have Vegex. So you guys know my opinion if you've been watching my videos. I 110% think this leader should have been banned, but it was not. It's being errated. So the post-errata text is, it becomes a burst 3, draw 1 on the unawakened side. And on the back side, it becomes a draw 1 and then not burst 3, but essentially burst 3 because they can't word it with burst this way. That doesn't matter. But anyways, instead of milling 5 on both sides, it's milling 3 on both sides. So let's read the reasoning. Vegex has demonstrated the ability to produce offensive threats without energy cost and prevents the viability of many other black leaders. 100% true. We decided to errata this card to a power level comparable with other black leaders. Okay, I kind of get it. They didn't want to ban the leader because it does come in a starter deck, and that probably does look bad for new players who are looking and see a pretty cool fusion character. They want to buy it. They want to play. I understand that. But my argument against that is leaders are so easy to pick up in the game. Like, anyone who, and let's be honest, you're probably going to a card shop with a friend or two, or even if you don't, you can just, ask another Dragon Ball player you find there. Like, if the leader is banned, they can give you an SS4 Goku leader. They can give you a BMS leader. Like, the leader is not very difficult to come by if the leader inside the structure deck was to be banned. And the other cards in the structure deck are still really, really good. So they're errating it to become a mill 3, which, yes, does bring it more in line with other black leaders, but you still have the anti-deck out ability. And maybe that's another reason they wanted to keep the leader in the game, is so that you could have some sort of answer to mill strategies. I do think that's also okay. But it's actually funny. A lot of my teammates are actually arguing that this makes Vegex better in a way, because you can play 50 cards and not really get punished for that. Whereas before, it was a little bit more advantageous to play like 55, 54, 56 cards, so that you have a little bit more room for potentially decking yourself out if you wanted to like overwhelm heavy and not really get the permanent online. So yeah, this one's a really weird one. I really do think it should have been banned, because it's probably still going to be the best mill black leader, to be honest. Maybe SS4 Goku has a shot because it has inherent double strike, but Vegex still gives double strike to unisons, and it gives double strike to a dual attacking unison. So I don't know. I'm going to put this one down as a loss. I don't really agree with it, to be honest. Then we have Majin Quickening. So they've essentially just errated it so that you can only do it turn 3 and beyond. And the reasoning is the deck can pair this card with Majin Buu the Shadow Warrior to win the game as early as turn 2 with higher consistency than expected. In order to facilitate less impressive gameplay, we decided to errata this card. This is just another really random one. I'm putting this down as a meh, to be honest, because like there was like a week or two where people were really scared of Majin Vegeta, and then the deck just proceeded to do nothing. So like, yeah, it can be annoying. It can win on turn 2, which I'm happy they're taking a stance against that, but there's just other things they're not taking a stance against that they probably should be. And this is like a really weird one to focus on. Like, what about Red Broly? Red Broly's arguably done a lot more in the past couple sets than Majin Vegeta has done. So it's kind of weird to not really address that in any way, right? It's a little strange. Anyways, now we come to the Dark Broly errata. Okay, I was pushing for an errata on this leader. This is nowhere near the errata I was pushing for. But essentially, the activate battle here, where you can kind of like combo with a 30k with 0 combo power, is now once per turn on the awakened side. So the reason here is the leader limits future design space for 30k power black battle cards. Sure, I mean, it's a very narrow kind of pool of cards, but whatever. And has demonstrated oppressive and repetitive gameplay patterns. We decided to errata this card to a power level comparable to other black leaders while maintaining its playstyle. That doesn't really make any sense, because like there's no other leader in the game that does anything similar to Dark Broly, so I don't really see how you're rating it with other black leaders. This is weird. I think a lot of people are I'm gonna put this down as a loss, firstly, and I'm gonna explain why. So I think a lot of people are gonna look at this and say that Dark Broly is dead. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's actually still very good. The reason I say that is because you already don't play, like, as more support has come out for the deck, you play less and less 0 cost combo cards, right? Like, you can just trim down some more of those and still play your other really powerful 30k battle cards. And yeah, you do lose a little bit of value from being able to combo your battle cards in rest mode, but you're still going wide and tall at the same time for free. That's still very, very broken. Again, I'll say this, like I've said in many other videos, the only reason that Dark Broly is not like a tier 0 deck is because many colors have good answers to Dark Broly, but you're forced to play those cards because Dark Broly exists. Now, maybe due to this errata, people will just drop Dark Broly altogether, not really realizing that it's still pretty solid, but I really don't think this does the job effectively for nerfing Dark Broly. So I'm going to put this one in the lost column. Then we have Black Smoke Dragon, Offering of Destruction. This is just being errata to Demon Realm race leader only. Doesn't matter. There was actually a pretty strange interaction, or strong interaction, I should say, with Gogeta Xeno, where you can play this card for free in that deck via the Supreme Kai of Time TP and generate a lot of draws. That was pretty good. So there's stopping that, which is fine, I guess. And the Videl, we're not even going to read it because it doesn't matter. It's just a clarification to make it work correctly. So overall, we've gone through the ban list, guys. I'm just going to go back up here and pull up the image real quick, and we're going to tally this up. So in the win column, I've got 6 wins, and notice it's not going to be a perfect number compared to all these things because we didn't even count the Black Smoke and the Videl. We've got 6 wins, 3 in the meh column, and 4 in the lose column. So this is a very 50-50 ban list for me. They definitely missed the mark on some things. They did not do an awful job by any means. This is pretty decent. I do think Mecha Frieza is going to see a big decline until the next broken extra card comes out. That's probably what's going to happen. I do think Sun Gohan Icarus and some other yellow decks become genuine contenders with Mecha Frieza not being able to draw quite as many cards, but they should have still just banned the leader if their logic on some of these other things were limiting design space. But now, like, their approach to aggro is weird because there's still, like, Red Broly, which a lot of people said could be really insane if they check certain things in the format, but not that deck itself. That's very possible. Like, again, hitting Maj and quickening and Maj Vegeta was very, very strange. No hits of Blue Baby here is also very, very surprising. I just really don't think many other blue decks can compete. Even the blue decks in set 14, I don't think can compete with Blue Baby. I think it is possible that Soul Striker can actually be very, very good in set 14 with some of the new cards, like the new Ruler Tapion, drawing a quick comparison there. But yeah, ban list, strange, missed the marks on places, did okay in other places. Of course, I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. What are your guys' thoughts? Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.